Bill Clinton was in Iowa yesterday, and he gave a speech on how disappointed he was at Mitch McConnell for calling one of the bills he passed one of the worst days of his life.
Here's something I read the other day, and I read it twice to make sure I wouldn't misrepresent it to you. There was a rather revealing article in the press sometime in the last couple of weeks about a speech the Senate Republican leader who wants to be majority leader by getting you to erase all our candidates from Congress and our candidate for the Senate and see only the people that they are allegedly clones of taking orders from. It was Senator Mitch McConnell's speech to the Koch brothers political forum, supposedly in secret. Now, wait, I want you, again, this was highly informal and informative. So McConnell, first of all, said when he became majority leader, he wanted them to know that they would begin by using the budget to take over the government, because the budget's the only thing that you can't filibuster. It takes a majority vote. He said, so they were going to put an amendment on every single budget of every department to get rid of anything that had been done since President Obama had been in office or before they didn't like. And if he vetoed it, they would simply shut the government down. Over and over and over again. Now, this is not an allegation. He was bragging on this like he was Einstein discovering the theory of relativity. He found the secret to permanent gridlock. Oh, happy day. What I found even more important and revealing was at the end, Senator McConnell said, according to the transcript released from the meeting, that the worst day in his 30-year political life was the day that the McCain-Feingold bill was signed into law. Now, for those of you who don't even remember it, because the Supreme Court's virtually gutted its impact, McCain-Feingold was a bipartisan bill designed to limit campaign contributions in size and to eliminate, insofar as was possible, secrecy in campaign contributions, so we'd all have to fess up, and if somebody was trying to get to us, at least we know who was paying for it. Seems reasonable, doesn't it? How could you think that's the worst thing that ever happened? Only if you thought the best thing that could ever happen was if the Koch brothers and others could run black bag operations in every state in the country and spend all this money driving people crazy and getting them to stop thinking and never be found out. Now, I thought some of my friends were mad at Senator McConnell. I was profoundly sad. When I look back on my life in politics, after all those decades and all those fights and all those campaigns, if the worst thing that ever happened to me was an attempt to limit black bag campaign contributions, what about 9/11? What about the financial meltdown? What about the farm crisis in the 70s? And what about the middle of the country's manufacturing base hollowing out in the 80s? And what about in his native Kentucky, 70% of the coal miners losing their jobs before the EPA ever said a word, with no strategy to put them back to work in other ways? I mean, how could you possibly say that the worst thing that ever happened to you was not being able to black bag unlimited amounts of money? In politics, when all these things have happened to Americans, one thing I know, everybody up here will be just like Tom Harkin was in one respect. They'll be in this for you when you need it. They may make mistakes. They may do things you don't agree with. But you will not have to worry that if you elect them 30 years from now, they will actually stand up with a straight face before a bunch of rich out-of-state donors and say the saddest day of my life was when I couldn't take it all from you and keep it a secret. So remember,